got the cornfield calm, Midwest tone, but he's spitting facts like a dog with a bone. Lanky frame, fire-haired eyes on the case, breaking down the game and the darkest place. Sports scores to murder boards. Hoosier logic cuts like swords from Friday lights to chalked out lines. This redhead's brain rewrites the lines inside the Hoosier mind, where the stories twist and stats unwind. He's a legend in flannel, mic in hand, digging deep where few can stand. From touchdowns to crime scenes raw, he's got the truth in every draw. Yeah, step in if you dare to find what's brewing inside the Hoosier mind. He'll talk Pacers, Colts, or Colts on trial. Hoosier humor with a devilish smile. He's that redhead sleuth with a box of clues. Takes your headline, breaks the news. With every stat and every scream, he's painting portraits in your stream. Don't blink, he'll tie it tight. From game night wins to murder fight. Inside the Hoosier mind, where the facts hit hard and the lines are blind. He's a ginger ninja, sleuth and slick, cracking cases play by play quick. From courtrooms to the hardwood floor, he digs for more than just the score. Tune in and don't rewind, you're deep now inside the Hoosier mind.
All right, welcome in everyone to Inside the Hoosier Mind, brought to you by Military Broadcast Radio, helping give veterans a voice. Back with the Shy Kid, who is back from his expediture in the great Big Apple of New York City. Mike, buddy, glad to have you back. Glad that you came back in one piece and you got to see the Big Apple. What'd you think?
Honestly, bro, it was a solid 8.8 out of 10. I would give New
8.8?
York City a solid rating. I will say the Dreams Hyatt Hotel can suck a fat one because they were terrible. No trash can, no fridge, no table in the hotel room, and they stole my towel that I brought from home. So,
They stole a towel.
to the Dreams, I hope you never dream again
Ooh.
because you are terrible. But everything else, man, was super dope. I definitely think the 9/11 memorial and the museum was just like, I don't even like, I haven't really like fully processed that one, where it's like the words that you're looking for, there just aren't any. And it's for the first time. The best way I could put it is I have been talking since I was born. You know, I'm always yapping, but when you go there, man, it's like you can hear a pin drop. You don't have a single thought, and you're just seeing it, and it's like it's a beautiful tribute in the museum, and I think they really pay homage to it very well. To everybody who passed away, I thought it was really cool how like they have a room where you can see every single victim, their picture, and you can look up on like a computer who they were, what they did, what their job was, who their family was, what some of their friends thought of them. I thought it was really like interesting.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was cool. Statue of Liberty was cool too.
I was gonna say, I know when I went there, of course, it's been like 10 years since I've been there. They had like one of the fire trucks that had originally like responded, and
Yeah,
they like
still do.
retired there.
Squad 3.
Squad 3. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. It's very like humbling because for a lot of people, especially like your and I's age, probably more me because I was about 6 when September 11th happened. It's one of those like I never really grew up like seeing like the World Trade Center and whatnot until the day that it happened, and I saw it all over the news and whatnot. And then you see like where all that spot used to be, and then you see all the photos that correlate with it. And then, like you said, when you go into the museum and you're able to put everything together, it's kind of like breathtaking, honestly, of like this is where all of this happened, just right here on home soil. It's humbling, all honesty.
Yeah, it was nuts.
On a lighter note, we do got to ask, because you are a representative of Chicago, of the Windy City, which is better, deep dish or New York style?
Deep dish is ass. No one comes to
Oh,
like. I'll tell you, deep dish is terrible. I do not eat deep dish. I don't think anybody that's from Chicago does eat deep dish. So it's always tavern style. It'll always be tavern style. But I'll tell you what. I went to Joe's Pizza. You've seen us on Spider Man.
hmm
Was on the front door, which was
hmm
really cool. And I walked in there and I said it's pizza time. And I thought that and some people laughed, others didn't.
right.
But I thought it was pretty solid, man. It definitely, I'm gonna be honest, it definitely wasn't anything to write home to ma about.
hmm
The bagels, the breakfasts were the best bagels I've ever had in my life. I will say that.
Yep.
Um,
Can't beat a New
Liberty,
York.
yeah. Liberty Bagels, a couple other places as well were just incredible. Um, and then I will tell you this: the hot dogs, the worst. The worst hot dog I've ever had in my life. Nathan's Hot Dogs, corner of Times Square. Number one hot dog in the world is a sign on his fucking thing, and it needs to be removed immediately.
Now, keep in mind though, buddy, you're from Chicago, so you know how to truly eat a hot dog and what
Yeah,
truly goes
dude.
on a hot dog.
It was not. It no, sir. That was this. It. Tony, honest to God, no exaggeration. It might have been the worst thing I've ever consumed.
Oof,
It was
that's
bad.
bad.
It
That's
was
real bad.
bad.
That's real bad.
Even my
That's real
girlfriend was like, "What the fuck was that?" I was like, she's like an optimistic person. She's like, "It
yeah.
wasn't that bad." And I was like, "That shit was garbage."
And then she tried it. Then she's like, ah, never mind.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, buddy, let's get into the sports side though, because we've had so much crazy drama. It's pretty much overtaken all of the news. And here's what I really think is funny, personally, because I know you've started to get into college football quite a bit, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, with between Randy, Frankie, and I, you know, you've definitely picked up and been rocking with the Vols and the Tigers and pretty much just football as a whole. Um,
Hmm.
I've never seen so much sports media coverage on the whole Lane Kiffin to LSU thing like I have with this. Like I have never seen this much coverage on college football ever, with the exception of like the radio shows or the actual like college game day, big noon kickoff. That's all they cover is college sports. I've never seen them cover college football like this. There's just
Hmm.
one coach to LSU.
Hmm.
So to give everybody a little bit of a background, and Mike, I kind of want your thoughts on it because again, you kind of have a neutral perspective in this. I know you kind of rock with the Tigers, but realistically, you have the most neutral perspective of this. So Lane signs basically what is over $100 million contract with LSU, and he's getting over $12 million a year between his base pay and incentive pay, depending on how far he goes in the college football playoffs, etc. And supposedly, before Lane left, he talked to Ole Miss's athletic director and wanted to coach the team through the playoffs all the way to the end before he left. And the athletic director said no, on the basis of he doesn't want Lane poaching and stealing his kids from Ole Miss, especially as
Yeah.
signing day is tomorrow on Wednesday, and doesn't want him stealing them. So said no. They supposedly Lane was never allowed to talk to the players before he left. So there's a lot of negativity, surrounding that. They named the defensive coordinator Pete Golding as the permanent head coach in the meantime. But we just found out today the offensive coordinator Charlie Wise Jr., who followed Lane to LSU, is going to be allowed to go back and finish coaching Ole Miss throughout the rest of the playoffs. Lane can't, but his offensive coordinator can.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, there's another school in Louisiana of Tulane who they lost their head coach, John Sumrall, to the University of Florida. They're letting him coach Tulane all the way potentially through the playoffs if they get a playoff bid. And they're perfectly okay with him going to Florida after. So, Mike, to you, is there really anybody in the wrong here? Is Ole Miss wrong? Is Lane Kiffin wrong? Did neither one really handle the situation right? Or really just like, what's your thought on the whole Lane Kiffin to LSU thing?
Yeah, well, first I want to say I think Lane's a dickhead. And I think there's several reasons for that, and we can go into detail later about like why that is. I didn't really know much of Lane. I really didn't have an opinion. But one thing I will say, God and Randy Jowers, two things I trust the most in this world. And Randy said, "Guy's a jag," and when I say a jag, I don't mean like a guy who kind of is annoying. I mean he's a jag off. He is the worst person I think I've heard of from a leadership standpoint. You know, this was a guy that Randy talked about saying this is somebody who was going to fire his entire staff if he didn't have what he wanted and do what he
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do. And those are just one of those things where it's like you're talking about people's jobs, people's careers, people's dreams. And you're not talking about firing them because they're not the right fit for your team. You're talking about firing them because they don't meet whatever criteria you have with the school. And that
Yeah.
was something for me that kind of really frustrated me, just hearing about these stories about who this guy is and kind of making it about him. And I'll tell you what, Bill Belichick has been in the media all year long for all the wrong reasons, but I never once heard that Bill Belichick was a bad coach to play for or to be a bad or to have bad thoughts while you're on his staff. And
Mm-hmm.
that's coming from Bill, who brought in his son. You know, there's nepotism in that.
Mm-hmm.
And people still loved playing for Bill. So I definitely do think for a guy like Lane, man, I think it's you fucked us, so we're gonna fuck you over too. And that's really what it is. It's just getting even Steven there. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that, but I think Ole Miss really handled that well because it's one of those things where Ole Miss understands. Look, man, we're not LSU. Look, we're not Ohio State. We're not Michigan. So the players we have, the players that actually committed here, want to be here. And it's not every day that you get to go to the transfer portal and have Ole Miss caliber guys wanting to go to Ole Miss. You know what I mean? You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get the Heisman guys who want to go to Ole Miss. Yeah, sure, you got your Jackson Dart here and there, but like more times than not, if you ask the casual college football fan and name some players on Ole Miss, I don't think they could do it. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
that's me being honest. But
Yeah.
I do think there needs to be a level of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be a standard. Like, hey man, if you're gonna let other people do it, like Lane should be able to do it too. But there's always a story. You know what I mean? Where there's smoke, there's
Mm-hmm.
fire. And I think with Lane, man, they were just like, whatever. Like, it's a bad breakup. It was ugly. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at with it.
So here's what I'm going to pitch to you, because I'm in the same boat. I see things from both perspectives. Here's what I'm going to pitch to you that a few people have mentioned. I know Randy agreed. A few other people that are pretty big into college football agreed. Of Lane is doing pretty much what Lane is allowed to do. And what I mean by that is, you mentioned the transfer portal, and we've seen guys, look at Dion. Dion got, ruthlessly slaughtered in the media about all the transfer portal guys that he's brought in over the last couple of years and whatnot. And for Lane and coaches, they pretty much have the same opportunity that a lot of these students and kids do when it comes to just being able to get up and leave and go where you want to go and realistically follow the money, which is what Lane is doing. Lane has been technically appointed as a transfer portal king because he's great at getting guys in. He's great at getting them the money. He's great at, just being the person that players obviously gravitate to towards an extent. Now, like you said, there was potentially some issues with, hey, if you're not on the plane with me to go to Baton Rouge, then you're not going to have a spot on my staff type of thing. And I do agree. I think for them, it's not just about the money. It's okay. Well, we're coaching at this school with the guys that we've brought here. We've had the most successful season in Ole Miss history this year, going 11-1 with these guys. And I'll be honest, with all of the talent that they lost last year to the NFL, I thought Ole Miss was going to take several steps back and kind of be a 6-6, maybe 7-5, just above 500 type of team. And here they
Yeah.
are sitting at 11-1. So I'll give them that. Realistically, for Lane, and this is one of the questions I wanted to bring up to you to get your thoughts on, because you are a big NFL guy. College doesn't have the same type of rules that the NFL does when it comes to, you're not allowed to tamper, you're not allowed to do all these different things that you're not allowed to do in the NFL. You can do in college. So like for him, there is no like, oh, you have to wait till the end of the season, which for maybe the casual college football fan is like the schedule is crazy. Like you got to think, National Signing Day, so basically to get all of your recruits like good to go, sign, talk to them, that starts and basically ends tomorrow. Like you got to go out, recruit, get your 4-star, 5 stars, whoever you're going to bring in for the next season. You got to go get them tomorrow. So that's just the signing. The transfer portal opens January 2nd. So that's around the time when the playoffs are officially going to be kind of in full swing is then. And we saw it last year. Penn State's backup quarterback transferred in the middle of Penn State's playoff run to Mizzou to be the starting quarterback. And then you're going to have guys transfer in and out as the playoffs go on. Now, I don't think they can play if they transfer into a playoff team, but they can still transfer to the school in the meantime. So there's really no rules. It's just the wild west of college football as it sits right now. And so really to me, as a person, is Lane in the raw? Well, yeah, as a person and professionally is Lane probably wrong with maybe some of the ways that he handled it. Yes. But I would also argue too, Ole Miss really didn't do themselves any favors either. Because to me, Ole Miss is trying to paint themselves as the victim of, well, he left us in the middle of the season. He wanted to go to LSU for the money. Like you said, let's be honest. Ole Miss does not have deep pockets like LSU does. Ole Miss does not have the player history of being like a solid pipeline to the NFL. You don't typically look at the NFL and be like, man, look at all these great players that have come out of Ole Miss. Now there's been great players. You look at the original Arch Manning played at Ole Miss. Eli played at Ole Miss. Jackson Dart looks like he's stud. DK Metcalf, if I remember right, came out of Ole Miss. Like, there's solid players coming out of there. But look at the deep history that LSU has of, perennial NFL type of, players that go into the pro league. So that's one thing. The second that I would also argue, and I kind of want your thoughts, because to me, the whole, well, we don't want you stealing our students and our athletes type thing. Well, now there's not the old school thing of I'm committing to a school because I want to get my education, or maybe because I've been a fan of this school growing up. Like, that deep devotion isn't there as much. There's a little bit more fluidity to that. And it's, how am I going to set myself up for the future? Am I going to potentially have a future in the NFL or not? And so, them worried about stealing their kids. One, they see how all this plays out on social media. If, say, you are the type of kid that, well, I signed up to play with Lane Kiffin, you're going to leave Ole Miss whether he still coaches there or not.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. And one person did make the argument that while you could let Lane coach and he's going to be looking for the team's success in the short term, like I would be willing to bet he would still try to get them contending to win a national title. He's not going to be looking at the long-term success of like, okay, well, I need to make sure I can get these guys to sign up for Ole Miss. Maybe he does have more allegiance to LSU, which again, I get both sides, but that to me is kind of my thought. Like, do you think there should be a set dead time of like, nope, you can do it 24 hours after the national championship is over? You can start talking to coaches. You can, the transfer portal opens, and then you can start talking to guys. If you don't, then it's tampering, and then you can get sanctioned, et cetera, et cetera. But I just want your thoughts on the whole situation, since I've been like yapping about that the whole time.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's reasonable. I think it reminds me a lot of soccer in the world of football, because it's like, for soccer, and there's so many different leagues, so many different conferences, so many different networks of just everything. You see guys like Mbappe and Messi and so many others signing to all these different places all the time, and having these different allegiances, and that's okay because they're different clubs. But the thing is, with this, it's like you're all under one roof of college football and the NCAA. So it's like it kind of makes you wonder where your allegiances lie, if you're looking at Lane right now. And I think for me, man, you definitely should have to wait it out, because I mean, it's unfair to me to say you got fired, but you're gonna stick around, because you believe in the best interests of the organization. It's just not realistic. If I got fired tomorrow, I'm not gonna finish the year unpaid because I feel some type of way. You know what I mean? And I know that's a different, like, scenario, but it's just one of those things for me where it's like I don't think a coach should be able to go somewhere else if he's not going to be there for the long term.
Right.
I just don't see it, man. And you can't tell me that there isn't tampering going on. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
You can't in
Mm-hmm.
some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You're nudging those guys, saying, "Hey, man, we can make this work." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The what was Billy's name in All American? I forgot his name. Billy. Oh
Oh,
man,
um,
Billy Baker. The Billy
Billy
Baker
Baker.
way,
Yeah.
where it's like I was gonna say Billy James, but that's Spencer's name. But
See, I was thinking of Bobby Boucher. I don't know.
oh, that's a whole different. That's a
I
whole
know it's a whole
different.
different movie.
Saw a kid at school today wearing a Bobby Boucher jersey. I thought that was cool.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, I don't think he knows who that is, but I'll take it. I was
Probably,
like, that's
probably
cool.
not.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I don't know. I just think it's wrong. I don't think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I think it's very very weird, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and on the other hand, do you think that Florida and Tulane are doing it correctly? Because Tulane is like, look, you've done great for us. We're potentially going to get a playoff bid. If we do, you can still coach. If not, best of wishes. Best of luck to you. You're going to hopefully be great at Florida. Like it's weird because now we've seen the polar opposite of the spectrum, and maybe it's more because you know you've got Ole Miss and LSU. They're both in the SEC. They're
Yeah.
bitter rivals. The Magnolia Bowl is always a pretty big rivalry as far as college football goes and whatnot. And then on the other hand, you've got Florida and Tulane, who not a rivalry, group of six school, Power Four. Tulane's really not going to be too worried about that.
Yeah.
Daisy, appreciate the sub and the like. Hopefully you like the content too, but definitely appreciate the sub and the like nonetheless. Though I definitely appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, buddy, what's your thoughts with how Florida and Tulane has
Yeah,
handled
my
this?
bad. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't, and it's because I don't know, and I hate to say I don't know because obviously like we can't make content off of that. We can't have a discussion off of that. There's nowhere to really go, but it's just like I'm so new to that level of the game. Like you guys have gotten me so invested in the college football, and I'm really into it. But I'm
Hmm.
still learning like how all that shit works. Like it's really confusing to me, especially like when you talk about the transfer portal in 2025. Like I felt like I did understand it a couple years ago, and
Hmm.
now I'm kind of like, what with the NIL stuff? I'm like, damn. So like, okay, so we really don't care about the school. We just want the money. And then it's like for other guys, they just care about the school, but they also need to get the money. And it's
Yeah.
just like it's such an interesting thing, bro. Where it's like I really just don't know how to feel about it. I think the schools are having a hard time really adjusting and not really understanding like. Man, like what are we going to do? What are we supposed to do? And that for me is like just one of those things you have a really hard time with. I don't know. It's hard.
I think a lot of it is this was so delayed for so long as far as paying players, as far as getting ahead of this, and now what's happened is realistically college football has gone pro. Like
Yeah.
it all but mirrors the NFL as far as how it does things. The transfer portal is a mess because it's essentially free agency for the NFL, and you know that part. But what's weird is the doors that open and shut with the transfer portal. So like
Mhm.
they have two times the transfer portal opens, at least for football, if I remember correctly. They have a time in the winter when it opens and you can transfer, and it's for I think like 30 or 60 days you can transfer. Um, and then it opens again after the springtime. So like just shortly after it shuts, it opens again and you can transfer out and you can leave. The other kind of buy clause in that is so like how Chip Kelly left UCLA a couple years ago and went to Ohio State to become the offensive coordinator. Those players for that specific school then get 30 days. They can transfer out to another school because their head coach left. So that's kind of the weird thing about it is all of these different, you know, things, all these different parts and pieces moving around, and there's no rules, regulation, or guidance behind it. And it's just kind of the wild west about it. But like you said, it's to an extent, it's a form of like chaotic entertainment more than anything, because
Yeah.
you just see all this stuff happen. And like you said, it sucks because for a lot of us, and I would say probably at least 50% of college football fans, it's this old school, like, this is the team I grew up rooting for. Like you said, you love the rivalries, like Michigan versus Ohio State. You got all the trash talk, all the memes, all the fights back and forth. Same with the Iron Bowl with Bama and Auburn. And a lot of that is going away because now these kids are coming in and it's more just about chasing the bag than anything. And I think part of that is kids are being educated of get as much money as you can now, because you never know. And I think part of it is between the media and social media, because, look at the whole DeMar Hamlin thing, look at the Ryan Shazier thing, heck, look at Zach Miller for the Bears. Of you never know when the play that you make is the last play you're going to physically be able to make, and you don't have a chance or even another opportunity to, make a play or earn more money again.
I mean,
So,
even to argue that, look at Alex Smith. Alex
yeah,
Smith had a
Alex
little
Smith.
bit of a comeback, but I mean, how much money got left on the table because Alex Smith just couldn't be a quarterback anymore?
Yeah. And I mean, he's permanently, his like, I don't know if you ever see a picture of his leg. His
Oh
leg is
yeah,
like
I've seen it.
gruesome looking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so it is wild, but again, it's entertaining. As much as I think a lot of college football fans dislike it, it is entertainment at the end of the day. I just do wish that, and I don't think the NCAA should do it, and they probably never will. I think there needs to be a better governing body that actually has like an authority, and even if they do it structurally, of
like a players' association in a way.
either like a players association, or even leave it to like just the conferences. Like, okay,
Yeah,
look, you go to your conference commissioner, and then the conference commissioner goes to, say, like a board or a group appointed like president, kind of like Roger Goodell. Like, you have all the owners, and then they go to him, and then he disseminates or makes the decision from there. Now, Roger Goodell's awful. I hope he never touches college football as long as he lives ever, because the dude is just terrible. Like, awful. So, but I kind of wish they would do something like that so it could be more regulated. But I think a lot of it is just, one, money, and two, it's just been so delayed that when they open the floodgates, it's just been an absolute mess ever since.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
But anyway, speaking of the NFL, because we'll cover this real quick, because Mike, I know you're gonna have to physically go here soon because your battery's not gonna last long on your phone. Dude, the NFL has been crazy this year, and it's funny because my buddy Mike, also at work, he and I were talking about it. Daisy, I think Mike and I are both having pretty good days. At least I am. I hope you're also having a good day. I know here in the Midwest, it's been cold and snowy. It took me like 30 minutes to get to work today, and I don't live that far because of the snow and traffic and whatnot. But hopefully you're also having a good day. Mike, I'll be honest, watching the NFL right now, even though I love that the Bears are 9-3, I don't really look at any team like, man, that's the Super Bowl favorite. Like, that's the team that is like, oh man, nobody wants to face them. Like, Buffalo, it's kind of pooped the bed against, they pooped the bed against Miami. Then they beat the dog crap out of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh and let him only, put up 3 points, which is hard to do because Aaron Rodgers is old, but still, he's doing that. The Chiefs look awful. Philly seems like they're having a midseason meltdown.
AJ Brown, shout out AJ Brown, finally got his numbers, but lost the game. So I hope it comes to the cause.
That was brought up as I was listening on the radio on the way home from work, of how is it you have a Super Bowl winning team gets their star wide receiver the ball more and they lose, but if they don't, they win. Like, how does that?
Everything you need to know.
Yeah,
Run the ball.
Boy does it. Well, even then, Saquon's not even having that good of a year, honestly.
Madden cover curse. I mean, it is what it is at that point. You know what I mean? That's just. I'll tell you what. If I have a star player on the cover of Madden, you are traded immediately. I'm getting what I can get.
Right, because you're about to have a bad season.
It's about to be over. Career might end. Who knows?
And then on the other end, you've got teams like Dallas, who have unlocked George Pickens in probably the best way we've ever seen George Pickens unlocked on top of CeeDee Lamb. And Dak is, for whatever reason, not playing like Dak, which is amazing. The time I stopped being a Cowboys fan is when they decide to finally do that. Not getting my hopes up for a Super Bowl run, though.
The time I trade George Pickens is the time he decides to start doing that. Traded him for, I don't even know what I traded him for.
Oh, in fantasy?
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds about right. And then on the other end, you got the Panthers of all teams. Panthers will get dog walked by the Patriots, but then they see someone like Green Bay in Green Bay, and they're like, you know what? We're gonna ruin that day today. You're not about to take this dub.
Man.
And
Shout out to the Panthers.
They beat Matt Stafford too. Matt Stafford had like 27 touchdowns to 2 picks before he faced Carolina. He threw like 3 picks and then lost the game too.
Good. Now the Bears are number 1 seed. Shout out Bryce Young. That trade continues to show that it was the greatest trade in NFL history.
It is. It is. So, like, I guess the best question, buddy, for this, because I'll be honest, I really don't even know what to ask with it. Like, are we kind of surprised that there's really no, like, true favorite this year? Like, last year, you could kind of tell it was going to be between Chiefs and Philly again. Like, it just had to be there. But now it's like, don't really know.
This feels great, man. I mean, honestly, it feels like old school NFL, kind of understanding. There were a couple years where we felt like this when the Patriots were kind of retooling and a couple they won a few championships and then they kind of had that dry spell for a little bit before Tom got a couple more off. Yeah, I think for me and Robert Kraft as well got a couple more off, but that's a different conversation. But I think
you got a massage too, buddy.
Hey, I didn't say nothing. Legally, I didn't say nothing. I just said what I said. However you take it.
Hey, do you want to take a trip to Cleveland then, if that's the case?
Hey, man, tell you what, keep me. Can I say something really quick? Because I'm gonna make this a clip later on, but I think it's really important. Jerry Jeudy, shut your whore mouth, sir. I don't know where Jerry Jeudy got off talking crazy to Shador Sanders that way on the sideline. First of all, the motherfucker's in triple coverage. Shador Sanders did the right thing by not throwing that ball. If Shador Sanders would have thrown that ball, I think there's a good conversation to be benched. That was a hospital ball. That was a suicide ball. If you've ever played the game of football, you know what a hospital ball is, especially if you're a receiver. You know the second that ball comes in your vicinity, it's over. The light's going off. You're about to hear the monitor of your heartbeat on the machine going boop, boop, boop. Jerry Jeudy, you could suck a fat one. You are the dickhead of the week. But with that being said, I love it, Tone. I think understanding that to that point about the Patriots I made earlier, it's like, the Chiefs are in this state of not rebuilding, but retooling. And I'll tell you what, you give them 2 years, they'll be back. I know they'll be back. They'll be back. Andy Reid, Travis Kelce will likely be gone, but you got Rashid Rice and Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the boys. It's going to be really interesting to see them continue to grow and develop. But I think for me, more than anything, it's going to be more interesting to see who wins a championship while they're gone. And that's the legacy of the Chiefs. And you know me, I'm not a Patrick Mahomes guy, but I do think there's something to be said when you talk about Michael Jordan, when you talk about teams like the Yankees or currently the Los Angeles Dodgers or a bunch of other organizations such as the Pats or the Chiefs. They are dominant. They're dominant. They're going to win every year. And your favorite player might end up ringless because of that. There are so many NBA fans who never got to see their prime favorite players, Charles Barkley, Ewing, or the list goes on, Reggie Jackson, who just never won a championship because of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan retired for a couple years. Okay, here comes Hakeem. And now Hakeem wins 2 back-to-back. And now you're in a situation with the Chiefs kind of taking that step back this season and Philly looking like a mess. And Philly can damn well repeat. It's possible. They're still in the mix, but the fact that you might see a first-time quarterback win a Super Bowl this year in terms of who it could end up being, it could be Josh Allen, probably not Lamar Jackson, could be Dak Prescott, could be a million different people, could be Bo Nix and the 10-2 Denver Broncos and their black magic. It's possible. It's truly possible, and I think that's super cool to me, man, to kind of see one of those types of seasons.
I say I do agree with you. I love the parody because I have a love hate with dynasties. Dynasties are cool, but I hate the fact that you do have that because you have players that are so dominant. It keeps other greats from really being able to shine. Like you said, Josh Allen could potentially go to his first Super Bowl and win because maybe he doesn't have to get over the hurdle that is the Kansas City Chiefs potentially. We don't know. And if he does, that may be his only shot at being able to do it if that happens. I'll be honest, Dak probably not going to go. Like let's just be honest. Dak's probably not going. Like don't get me wrong, I know they're hot. Anything is possible, but having been a Cowboys fan for so long, like I was, keyword was, it's probably not going to happen. Denver, though, you are right. Like Denver finds so many ways to you can see the L in the future. Like you see it's right there. Like it's getting ready to smack them in the face that they're going to have a loss. And Denver just stone cold stares at them and is like, no, we're going to go just go and take the dub. Like, I don't know how, but they just managed, Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos managed to figure it out, which is crazy that they continue to do that. Like, look at the game against Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo. Like, had they not won, had the Denver Broncos not won that game, Brian Daboll potentially keeps his job. Because he got them all the way back, and then Denver said, "Nah, hold my beer. We're gonna go get a last-second field goal to take home."
We on it.
But no, I do agree. I like more of the parody. Like I said, it gives greats a better chance to win. Like honestly, probably my favorite Super Bowl of recent was Joe Burrow versus Matt Stafford. Bengals versus Rams, because I was like, cool. We get to see either a veteran guy who suffered through Detroit through all of the bad years, potentially get his first ring and win it, or we get to see a college great take a team that hardly spends any money with his rookie teammate, also from LSU, both national champions, go to a Super Bowl and potentially win it, and got real damn close to it if it wasn't for the dude at 99 for the Rams of Aaron Donald. So I think it's cool. But I do wonder. I mean, there's so many teams. Heck, there's even teams that are still alive for the playoffs. Like Mike brought up a good point. Like the Dolphins have probably one of the easiest schedules left, and they're 5-7 right now. Like they could win out and potentially make it in.
Yeah,
like that's mind blowing to me. Right? It's that's mind blowing to me. But it's funny on the other end, the Colts have one of the toughest schedules left, and they could very easily go 1-5 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah,
because they'd be 9-8.
I know you'd be sick about that, buddy. I know.
It's one of those. And I don't know if you remember, I was skeptical with the whole Daniel Jones thing. I was like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. And then, of course, they started winning, and I'm like, well, you do have the benefit of your offensive line has started to really work together.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor's been able to open up more because you do have a better pocket passer in Daniel Jones when everything's working. But we found with Pittsburgh was able to do it. Kansas City was able to do it. Houston was able to do it. You shut down JT, you're done. You're cooked.
It reminds me a lot of when I think it was the 2019 or 2020 Bears started 5-2 with Nick Foles, and it was Big Dick Nick, that's the guy. But it's it very quickly became, hey man, put Fields in. Fuck this. You know what I mean? It was. It was just one of those things where it just got bad fast.
It does. And I think what's even worse too, if Jones didn't have a hurt leg, it would probably be a little bit different. But now because they know the mobility is limited, all you gotta do is blitz him. And now if he can get it out fast, different story. He can pick you apart a little bit. But I don't see that happening very much from old Danny Dimes, nonetheless, though.
I agree, buddy.
But yeah, I think we might call this a little bit of an early show, buddy. I know we have a little bit to talk about the NFL, but we don't have a whole lot to talk about because we're 2/3 through the season, and like you and I just said, really nobody that's standing out yet. You got teams that are at the forefront, they're going to win the division, but we don't know what they're going to look like when it comes to the playoffs because everybody has a bad L. Heck, maybe the Panthers take the NFC South and just make a run.
Fuck
the Panthers of all teams.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna praise religion on anybody, but if there's any young quarterback you want to root for, hey man, Bryce Young is a God-fearing Christian man. He's been giving back to the community. Anybody hating on Bryce Young, I mean, he's just a good guy. I don't know. I root for Bryce Young. I think he's dope. I think he's cool. Do I think he's generational? No. Do I think he should have been #1 overall? No. But yeah, man, I do want to say to all the listeners, I do apologize. You're not hearing the full Inside the Hoosier Mind today. I am currently at 6%, so
Woo,
I'm
close.
working on it. I'm
Cutting
working
close.
on it. But we're gonna be back, man. We're gonna have more of those QB, RB, wide receiver conversations. I'm really excited about to have with Tony, man, because it's a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
I do want to say, if you're listening still, go follow Tony on TikTok, man. Go follow Tony on the gram and YouTubes, because the man's making content out here, man. He's making his own content. He's making a bunch of stuff. He's making day-to-days. He's using the green screen. I've been very proud of Inside the Hoosier Mind lately.
Hey, I've been trying. I told you, I was like, you know what, man, when football season comes around, I was like, I'm gonna make more content. Like, I gotta make sure I've had some slack, a little bit, but
It's okay.
for
It's
most
okay.
part, I feel like I've been pretty consistent. I'm gonna post this. Like, even if it's just a hot take, I'm posting it. Because why not? Just posting it.
Why not?
But yeah, I say I appreciate the shout out, buddy. And again, if you like all the content, you can check me all out at Inside the Hoosier Mind at pretty much everything except X. But I'll be honest, I'm not really on X a whole lot because I had X. Like, I grew up with X when it was Twitter, and I'll be honest, I hated Twitter so much. I was like, he's a little bird. You could do like a tweet. I was like, that's weird. Like,
His name was Larry.
Yeah, that's right. The first name was Larry.
Shout out Larry. R.I.P. Larry.
True. Big R.I.P. to Larry. But nonetheless, though, if you like this content, please check out Inside Hoosier Mind. If you want to hear other great podcasters, other great military veterans that also do podcasting, right above me, right here is a little QR code. If you're watching the video, you can scan that, learn more about military broadcast radio, or you can also just search mbradio.us. Take you to their website. It'll give all the shows, all the veteran hosts and whatnot, or it can even get you in contact if you're a veteran and you're like, man, these guys just talk about just sports and just going to New York and how their wieners just suck. Like, yeah, like I could talk about that. I can talk about that way better than these guys.
And in fairness, it's New York's wieners that suck, not ours. But
exactly,
hey.
Different type of wieners. Different
types.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I'll
Proud
tell you
of
off air,
I
Mike.
saw it on your face, and I'm proud of you.
I'll tell you off air, Mike. But no, I appreciate it though. I hope everybody has a good night. I know here in the Midwest, everybody's been getting hammered with snow. So be safe. Hope everybody enjoys. And like Mike said, we will be back next week for you with some more great content.
And
Peace.
wieners.
And maybe more wieners. Maybe better wieners. We'll see. We'll see.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.